Uh, Hare Krishna, dear devotees, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chevam Narotayam. Devi Saraswati Vyasam Tato Jaye Udiraye. Nistik Prayasi Adbeshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya. Bhakti Uttam Sloke Bhakti Bhavati Naistike. Today we're reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Cantos 9, Chapter 9, the dynasty of Amshuma, from text 40 to, I think, 59.
49.
49. Okay, thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you.
Text 40 from Ashmuka. Balika, Balik took birth. Because Balik was surrounded by women and was therefore saved from the anger of Parshuram, he was known as Nirkava, one who was protected by women. When Parshuram vanquished all of the Kshatriyas, Balika became the progenitor of more Kshatriyas. Therefore, he was known as Mulaka, the root of the Kshatriya dynasty. Text 41. From Balika came a son named Drishratha. From Drishratha came son named Adi Avidhi. From Adi Avidhi came King Vishwasha. Vishwasha, the son of King Vishwasha, was the famous Maharaj Krithivanga. King Krithivanga was unconquerable in any fights, requested by the demigods to join them in fighting the demons. He won victories, and then the demigods, being very pleased, wanted to give him the benediction. The king inquired from them about the duration of the life and was informed that he had only one moment more. Thus, he immediately left his palace and went to his own residency, where he engaged his mind fully on the lotus feet of the Lord. Text 43. Maharaja Prativanga thought, not even my life is dearer to me than the Brahmanic culture and the Brahmanas who are worshipped by my family. When then is to be said of my kingdom, land, wife, children, and opulences, nothing is dearest to me than the Brahmanas. Text 44. I was never attached, even in my childhood, my insignificant things or irreligious principles. I did not find anything more suitable than the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Text 45. The demigods, the directors of the three worlds, wanted to give me whatever benediction I desired. I did not want their benediction. However, because I am interested in the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who created everything in the material world, I am most interested in the Supreme Personality of the Godhead. Then in all material benediction. Text 46. Even though the demigod have the advantages of being suited in a higher planetary system, their mind, sense, and intelligence are agitated by material condition. Therefore, even such elevated person fails to realize the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is eternally situated in the core of the heart. What then is to be said of others, such as human beings who have fewer advantages? Text 47. Therefore, I should not give up my attachment for things created by the external energy of the Supreme Personality of the Godhead. I should engage in thoughts of the Lord and should thus surrender unto Him. The material creation have been created by the external energy of the Lord, is like an imaginary town visualized on a hill or in a forest. Even Every conditioned soul has a natural attraction and attachment for material things, but one must simply give up the attachment and surrender onto the supreme personality of the Godhead. Thus, Maharaj Khatravang, by his advanced intelligence in rendering service to the Lord, gives up false identification with the body full of ignorance. In his original position of the eternal servitorship, he engages himself in rendering services to the Lord. Text 49. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vasudeva, Krishna, is extremely difficult to understand for an unintelligent man who accepts him as an impersonal or void, which he is not. The Lord is therefore understood and sung about by the pure devotees. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Mataji. Hare Krishna, Krishna Venudas Prabhuji. Please accept our humble obeisances. All goes to Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. Please take over the call, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Radharani Mataji, Sundarana Prabhu, for giving this opportunity to share a few points from Srila Prabhupada's purports for my own purification. And thank you, Ati Alibeli Sri Radha Mataji, for reading today's Bhagavatam section slokas translation. Today we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 9, Chapter 9, the Dynasty of Amsuman, from slokas 40 to 49. Start with prayers. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Gnananjanasalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namane. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Paschatadeshatarani. Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktarunda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So chapter 9, the title of Dynasty of Amsma. So we'll go through from slokas 40 to 49. Thank you all for joining for today's session. Just to give a background, so in this 8th canto, we are going through the dynasty of current Manu, Shraddha Deva or Vaivasvata Manu. And as part of that, in the last chapter, we heard about the descendants of Rohita, who is the son of what is that? I forgot. Okay. And in that dynasty, we heard the great king named Sagara. So, and when King Sagara is performing the Ashwamedha Yajna and his horse was stolen by Lord Indra, and then his 60,000 sons tried to bring that, and they dug up the surface of the earth and went to the Patal Loka, where they saw the horse at the Kapila Muni ashramam. And then they thought that Kapila Dev stole the horse. So with that offensive mood, they started attacking him, like they wanted to attack. So due to that offensive nature, they all burned to ashes. And then King Sagara's grandson Amsuman, so he searched for the horse, and then he reached the Kapildeva ashramam, and then he saw the horse and also the pile of ashes, and then he offered wonderful prayers to Kapildev, who was very pleased and returned the horse, and also he told the process how their forefathers can be delivered. So with that horse returned back, King Sagara completed his yajna and then hand over the kingdom to his grandson Amsuma, and then practiced the Krishna consciousness and perfected his life. And in this chapter, so we started with the dynasty of Amsuma. In that dynasty, we saw how Bhagirath, with the great determination, pleased Mother Ganges to come down to this earth planet and also to the lower planet systems And with that, how he delivered his forefathers and allowed them to go to the heavenly planets. And in the dynasty of Bhagirath, so we see that one of the great king Saudasa, of course, due to his defect in performing one of the fruitive activities, he was cursed by Vasistha Muni to become a Rakshasa. So while he was in the Rakshasa body, so he also devoured a Brahmana while he was engaged in sexual affairs with his wife. So his wife cursed him that similarly, when you are also engaged in a sexual affairs, you will die. So due to that, so the king Saudasha remained sonless. And with his permission, Vasistha Muni impregnated Saudasha's wife and uh, his wife Madayanti. So she bore the child for many years, but still she was not giving birth. So Vasistha struck her abdomen with a stone, and the son was born, and his name is Asmaka. And so we'll start from there. From the Asmaka, how the dynasty continued. So we see in this 40th sloka that from Asmaka, Balika took birth, and there is a description of about Balika. So whenever Lord Parsuram, so when he was annihilating the Kshatriyas, so whenever he come to his place, Balika's place, so Balika was surrounded by women, so that Parsuram will not kill him. So that's why he is known as Nari Kavacha, because he is protected by women. So, and because he was saved, so he became the progenitor of more Kshatriyas. So that's why he was known as Molaka. Because we hear the similar information, I heard like that in a similar way for during the Dasharatha Maharaj's life also, the father of Lord Ramchandra. So whenever Parashuram also comes to attack Ayodhya and to attack Dasharatha Maharaj, so on the advice of his ministers, Dasharatha Maharaj used to get married with a girl like that. So Parashuram will not harm because Dasharatha Maharaj is in the marriage ceremony. So that's why I heard. So Dasharatha Maharaj not only has the three main queens, Kaushalya, Kaikeyi, and Sumitra, but he also has many other wives. Of course, he has done that because he had no sons at that time, and he has to stay alive to get a son who can lead the kingdom after he retires, so that the citizens can be protected. So it's a similar approach that Balika performed. And then we hear from the Balika how the dynasty continued. So his son is Dasharatha, like that, and then Maharaj Katwanga. So of course, uh, uh, all these great kings that were mentioned in the Bhagavatam, the purpose is to show in their dynasty or to describe the great devotees in that dynasty. So Maharaj Katwanga is one of them. So he's a wonderful devotee. So we will see in the upcoming slokas the activities and devotion of Maharaj Katwanga. So which inspires a sadhaka who is progressing in the path of bhakti also. In the 42nd sloka, we see Maharaj Katwanga. So he's unconquerable in any fight. So it's very good. So because the demigods requested to join him in the fighting with the demons. So Maharaj Katwanga fought in support with demigods with the demons. So and he won victory. The demigods were very pleased and they wanted to give him a benediction. So Maharaj Katwanga, not asking for any material benediction, so he asked how much life he still has it. So then they looked at and they saw that he has only one moment more. So then immediately we see that he left that palace, and he came to his own residence, and then he engaged his mind fully on the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord. And Prabhupada mentions in the purport that so the way that Maharaj Katwanga performed so is excellent. So this is a very great example because even though he has one moment, so he utilized that one moment in performing the devotional service, and then he went back home, back to Godhead. So Prabhupada says that in one moment of time, if Maharaj Katvanga could perfect his life, then what to speak of if we practice sincerely and seriously from the beginning of our life, or at least from the time we connected to this Krishna consciousness, then surely we will also go back home, back to Godhead. So Prabhupada says that asamsaya. Bhagavad Gita also Krishna says that maya saktamana parda yogam injam madasrayah asamsayam samagram mam yata gnasyasi tashrunu, like that. He says that, and without doubt. So whoever focuses their mind, or they are attached to the Supreme Lord Krishna, then they will be free from the doubt. And takta deham punarjannam naiti mameti, so Arjuna. So they'll, after leaving this material body, they will not get any other material body. They'll go back home, back to Godhead. But to get that maya saktamanaha, like, to attachment to Krishna, so Prabhupada stresses that, we have to practice bhakti yoga from the time we are connected, so that as we practice, our attachment is also increased. So our attachment to Krishna also increased. So Prabhupada says that, we have to spend all our time as best as we can in the activities of Krishna consciousness, like having the altar in the home, or going to the temple, taking darshan of the Supreme Lord, or worshipping the deities either at the temple or in the home, and of course chanting the holy name of the Supreme Lord, which is the dharma for Kali Yuga. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. And then taking Krishna Prasadam, like that. So as we do, slowly our attachment, asakti, will be developed. Then our mind will be attached to the lotus feet of the Krishna. So in that way, we can make our human life successful. And Prabhupada also warns that if we miss this great opportunity, then we don't know, like, where we'll be going after leaving this body, and how much suffering we'll continue to go through. Uh, how many lives we have to go through this cycle of birth and death, janma mrityu jara vyadi dukkha dosha anudarshanam. And when we will get again another human form of life, even if we get, whether we'll have this wonderful opportunity of practicing Krishna consciousness. So Prabhupada mentions these things and warns us not to lose this great opportunity. So if one is intelligent, Sumedhasaha, then they will take up this process of Bhakti Yoga, Krishna consciousness, chanting of Hare Krishna Mahamantra. As much as time they will utilize for the process of Bhakti Yoga. And then Maharaj Katvanga, so he's thinking that not even my life is dearer to me than the Brahmanical culture and the Brahmanas. So we see that, how much favorable towards the Brahmanical culture. So Maharaj Katvanga, so is very much favorable to the Brahmanical culture and Brahmanas. So Brahmanical culture means utilizing all our time in worshipping Krishna, or fully surrendering to the Supreme Lord. Because Namo Brahmanya Devaya. So he is the supreme absolute truth, and is also well-wisher of the cows and Brahmanas. Go Brahmanyataya cha. So Prabhupada says that one who is practicing Krishna consciousness, they will be attached to the Brahmanical culture. And also Prabhupada gives a definition. Who is a Brahmana? Real Brahmana? Brahma Janati Brahmana. So one who knows the Brahma, the supreme absolute truth. And Krishna is the Parabrahma. So therefore, Prabhupada says that so whoever is practicing this Krishna consciousness, they are the exalted Brahmanas. They are the real Brahmanas. So Katvanga Maharaj is mentioning that the devotees of Krishna are the real Brahmanas. And they are the light of the human society, because they are the one who can guide the society so to be progressing in a positive manner. So whoever is practicing this Krishna consciousness, so they give the importance to the Brahmanical culture and Brahmanas. So in that way, they can make their human life successful. And Katvang Maharaj is saying that so he was never attracted even in his childhood, by insignificant things or irreligious principles. So this is the nature of a devotee. A pure devotee is not attracted by any material things, or he doesn't perform any religious activities, because he did not find anything more substantial than the Supreme Lord. And Prabhupada mentions in the purport that this is the typical example of a Krishna conscious person. So he doesn't see anything to be important than the Supreme Lord, nor does he accept anything within this material world which is not connected to the Supreme Lord. So because everywhere he sees Krishna. Stavara Jangama Deke, Na Deke Taramurti, Sarvatra Haya Nija Ishta Deva Spuriti. Like the Mahabhagavata, so pure devotee. So he sees everywhere Krishna only. So whether it is mobile or immobile, so moving or not moving, so he sees everything Krishna only. Or anything he sees connected to Krishna only. So all the great devotees, their consciousness is like that. So when we sing that Narsimha song prayer, right? Ito Narsimha, Parato Narsimha, Yato Yato Yami, Tato Narsimha. So the devotees see their Ishta Devata, the Supreme Lord Krishna, everywhere. And Prabhupada mentions that though the devotee is in this material world, but whatever the activities that he is doing, there is no connection to the material things. It's all spiritual only. So he may be working as others, going to office, and taking care of the family, buying the groceries. So, but all these are connected to Krishna consciousness. So that's why it's difficult for an ordinary person to understand the Vaishnava's activities. The Vaishnavera Kriya Mudra Vigneha Nabhujya. Like even a very intelligent man cannot understand the activities of Vaishnava. So they may think that is like an ordinary person, a materialistic person like that. But his activities internally are all connected to Supreme Lord Krishna or Krishna consciousness. So that's what we see, in the case of Ambarish Maharaj also. Like Durvas Mahamuni thought, so Ambarish Maharaj is an ordinary person because he could not see Ambarish Maharaj's exalted devotional activities. So the devotees, the Mahabhagavatas, they accept this material world in relationship with Krishna. Nirbandha Krishna Sambandha. So whatever, so the activities that they perform and whatever they earn in this material world, like all their wealth or resources, everything, they use it for the purpose of Krishna, uh, for progressing the path of Bhakti Yoga. So that's why here Maharaj Katvanga, so though he is acting as a king and performing all activities, but you see that he is never attracted to any insignificant things. So that's why he is not attracted to the kingdom, land, wife, children, or anything like that. So that's why he is not a materialistic person, though he is acting as a king and performing all his activities. And in the 45th sloka, Maharaj Katvanga is mentioning that the demigods, they wanted to give him so benedictions, whatever he desired, because he has performed a great service to them. So they wanted to give benedictions. Of course, we hear from Bhagavad Gita that so whatever the benedictions that demigods can give, they are limited and temporary. Antavantu phalam tesham. So that's why the less intelligent persons worship demigods for the sake of getting some temporary benefits. Tad bhavate alpamedasham. But if one is very intelligent, then they will take up this Krishna consciousness and please Supreme Lord Krishna. Agnai Sankirtanai prior, Ejantihi Sumedasaha. So the Sumedasa, the intelligent persons, they will take up this Krishna consciousness, which is inaugurated by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and make their human life perfect and get the eternal benefit. So going back home, back to Godhead. And Prabhupada mentions in the purport that, so here also he says that, so he's not interested in the any material benedictions, but because he is interested in the Supreme Lord. more interested in the Supreme Lord than all material benedictions. Prabhupada mentions that because the devotees are situated in the higher platform, Param Justva Nivartate, so they are experiencing higher taste in Krishna conscious process. So that's why they don't have any taste on the lower material things. So they are not much interested in satisfying their senses or indulging in sense activities. So that's what Prabhupada also gives example of Dhruva Maharaj. Dhruva Maharaj performed a great austerity to get some material things like a greater kingdom than his father or grandfather, like that. But as soon as after performing this austerity, he got purified, and when the Supreme Lord Vishnu appeared, when he got darshan of the Supreme Lord, and when the Supreme Lord Vishnu asked for any benedictions, then what Dhruva Maharaj says that Swamin Krutardasmi Varam Nayache. So he says that I'm very much satisfied with your darshan. So that's why I have nothing to ask from you. So he doesn't have any interest in any material things because he is experiencing or he got the higher taste, higher taste of Krishna consciousness. So that's why whatever the lower things, sense gratification related things, so he's not interested. So that's what Prabhupada says that's what this Krishna conscious movement is providing. So one can experience the higher taste slowly. They don't see any taste in the lower things, the activities related to the sense gratification. So in the 46th sloka, Katwang Maharaj is saying that even though the demigods have advantage being situated in higher planet system, but because their mind, senses, and intelligence are agitated by material conditions, even such elevated persons fail to realize the Supreme Lord, who is eternally situated in the core of the heart. So then what to speak of the human beings who have fewer advantages? And Prabhupada mentions that as long as our mind, senses, and intelligence are agitated by material conditions, like either opposite gender attraction or name, fame, appliances, all these things, if they are agitated, if they agitate our mind, senses, or intelligence, then it is very difficult for us to understand the Supreme Lord. Even though one has all kind of facilities to practice Krishna consciousness, but if their mind and senses are uncontrolled, then they cannot be able to understand Krishna. Like Hiranyakashipu. So even though he conquered these three worlds, he has all kind of facilities, but because his senses are uncontrolled, so he is not able to understand the Supreme Lord. So then what to speak of the human beings? So if their mind and senses are agitated, then they cannot understand Krishna. So that's why this process of Krishna consciousness is recommended. So, and here also Katvanga Maharaj is saying that one who practice this bhakti, the spiritual path, bhakti yoga, then they will be able to understand Krishna. Because Krishna also mentions in Bhagavad Gita that bhaktyamam abhijanati. So he can only be known by to the process of bhakti yoga. So one who practice this Krishna consciousness, they can be able to understand Krishna as much as they progress. So that's why Katwang Maharaj is saying that I should now give up my attachment for things created by external energy and engage in the thought of the Lord and surrender to Him. So as Maharaj Katwanga, not interested in any material things, but instead he wanted to focus or meditate on the Supreme Lord's lotus feet. So in that way, he can make his human life successful. Because in generally, the nature of the conditioned soul is attachment to the material things. But if one can give up that attachment and increase their attachment to the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord, then they can go back home, back to God. And Prabhupada says that that is called Vairagya Vidya. So Vairagya Vidya Nija Bhakti Yoga. So this is the process Chaitanya Mahaprabhu taught to this world, like, the detachment from the material things, but attachment to the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord. And in the 40th sloka, Maharaj Katvanga is mentioning that, of course, Maharaj Katvanga, by his advanced intelligence, rendering service to the Lord, gave up his false identification with the body of full ignorance. Then he was situated in original position, eternal servitorship. So engaged himself in rendering service to the Lord. So when one is when one gives up his false identification with the body, then they will situate the original position of the eternal servitorship, like Jivera Swarupaya Krishnera Nityadasa. So that is our original position, like servant of the Supreme Lord, Krishnera Nityadasa. So the last sloka for today. The Supreme Person of Godhead Vasudeva Krishna is extremely difficult to understand for unintelligent man who accept him as impersonal or void. So we have a Bhagavatam also says, right, there are three types of absolute truth realizations. Brahmeti, Paramatmeti, Bhagavaniti, Shabdeti. Like Brahma Jyoti and then Paramatma relation, Bhagavan relation. And Prabhupada mentions in the purport that so one who understands the Bhagavan relations, one who has the Bhagavan relations, the other two are included. Whether it's impersonal Brahma Jyoti or Paramatma relations, they are included. Vasudeva Sarvamiti, like one who has that understanding that Krishna is everything. So then they already understood the impersonal Brahman relation and then Bhagavan relation. Because Krishna is a Parabrahma. So Parabrahma is the shelter of the impersonal Brahman and Paramatma also. Because from Krishna, all these things are emanated. So whether it's Brahma Jyoti or Paramatma in expansion. So Maharaj Katvanga, that's why, so he accepted the shelter of the Supreme Lord and fully surrendered. So in that way, he perfected his life and went back home, back to Godhead. So Maharaj Katwanga's example is very inspiring to see his activities in Krishna consciousness, how he completely took shelter of Krishna consciousness, Supreme Lord Krishna's lotus feet. So with that inspiration, we can also, if we can also practice this Krishna conscious sincerely and seriously, of course I'm talking to myself, then we can also make our human life successful and then go back home, back to Godhead. So otherwise, as Prabhupada mentions that if we miss this great opportunity, then we don't know how long we have to suffer in this material world. So I'll pause it here. Thank you all for giving this opportunity. Grandhara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Ananda Koti Vaishnava ki jai.
Thank
Hare
you very
Krishna.
much, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Very beautiful class. Thank you all devotees for joining the class today. Hare Krishna.